I remember do some rowing in the Central Park. Take a photo. Very good.
Give me a big smile. There you go. I'm going to need a couple more now. Just looking right about here. That's all. Smile. And one more. Thank you. Quick and painless.
Smile. Thank you. That'll do it. Oh, take a couple more. Hold it there. I take 2 more. Smile. Yep. Smile. There we go. What year?
Gym, west of the stage in the old gym. Form in the hallway on the west side of the gym stage.
If I can get you all to look right here and give me a big smile. All right, come on, you can do better than that. There you go. Need a couple more. Please, people, please follow me.
You done running people by me, Larry? Smile, please. Smile, please. 1 more. Cheese, you like cheese? I'll say cheese. There we go.
Once again with that first group, the Ray Ericksons, Vivian Olson, Janet Carlson, Vera Smith, the Charles Pickens, Ellen Smith, Viola Larson, the Lee Selnesses, Mildred Nelson, Evelyn Kellogg, Nye Bockens, Edith Liz.
Now look this way. Say cheese. There we go. Couple more. Okay, say cheese again.
Oh, come on, you can do better than that.
Come on, the big boy.
There you go. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Cheese. There you go.
I like this.
I'll get you all to look right here. Give a big smile. And on 3, say cheese. 1, 2, 3. Come on. Now do better than that. 1, 2, 3. Cheese. There you go. And a couple more. Everybody look right here. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Cheese. There we go.
Just a trial run. Okay. Say cheese. We all smile again. It's good. 1 more, please. Say cheese now. There we go. Thank you. There are reprints available if you want to just talk to the ladies at the table right there. They can set you up with those.
Okay, if I get everybody to look right here and give me a big smile.
Yeah.
Oh, give me a big smile. There you go. On 3, say cheese. 1, 2, 3. Cheese. There you go. And 1 more. Another big smile. Look right here, please. There you go.
Hi, honey.
Yeah, let's see that. There's 1.
As soon as he gets done with it,
2 times. 2 times. Everybody smile? Yeah. There we go. 1 more here.
1 more?
Let's go bring it up, think 2 more. Smile. There we go. Thank you.
if I can get you all to look right here, give me a big smile. Oh, do better than that, come on. There you go. Oh, did you get the smile when I took it? Yeah. Well, when I take my hand out, you don't quit smiling. Give me another smile. Okay, come on, better. There you go. On 3, everybody say cheese. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Oh, come on. Where's your enthusiasm?
Come on, we're hungry.
On three. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Thank you.
What do you know? Okay, you said cheese.
Now starting with left foot, we'll take it. Pass it over.
Yeah, I got a whole roll here. Smile. One more. Smile one more time. Thank you.
Okay, if I can get everybody to look right here, give me a big smile. Is it a big smile? One more to come on. There you go.
Think about the time we
See, that's a warning right
There you go. School skipping days. There you go. You got a smile on Jim on that one. He must have liked skipping school. One more time, right here, please. Thank you.
That's Ronnie. I can see it, Ronnie.
Can we smile, please? Go. Thank you. Couple more here. You can go, Krabs. Thank you. One more, please.
Hey, you girl, smile!
Everybody smile. Thank you. Are you taking 52 and 53 together? No, we're taking 51 and 52. 53.
Okay.
Wait a
Get
minute.
everybody to
Wait a
look right
minute.
here.
Wait, you're okay.
Give me a big smile. There you go. Okay. One more time on three this time. 1, 2, 3, smile. All right, time. Do better than that. There you go. Get a couple more here. On three, say cheese this time. 1, 2, 3, cheese. There you go. And one more for good measure. Right here. There you go. Thank you. Cheese.
All right, there's one down. Wasn't so bad, huh? Can I do it one more time? Marlon. There we go. One more time here. Say cheese. There we go. Thank you. There are refits available. You say cheese? There we go. One more time, please. That ain't so good, huh? Okay. You can smile one more time. There we go. Thank you.
Okay, if I get you all to look right here, please.
Everybody has a piece of paper and it's $2.
On three, say cheese. 1, 2, 3, cheese. There you go. Need a couple more, please.
Okay. Start from the top, masking 2 eggs.
What do you want to say? Pizza. Okay. On three, say pizza. 1, 2, 3. Pizza. There you go. Okay, one more. Give me a big smile. Don't you guys think any better of yourselves than that? Come on, smile. There you go. Should you have been in the picture about 20 years ago, Gil? Why don't you?
Can we smile, please? Can we smile? Say cheese.
Everybody agree.
Cheese. On three. 1, 2, 3, cheese.
We have to have to do, huh?
Simple instructions. On three, say cheese. Okay? We'll do it. Better get these guys in the back row here to cooperate. 1, 2, 3, cheese. There you go. Okay. If I can get you all to look right here. And on three, I want you to say cheese. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Okay? I need a couple more, please. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Okay?
On three, say cheese, please. 1, 2, 3. Not too bad, I guess. Here we go again. Cheese.
Test run. One more time, since say pizza this time. 1, 2, 3, pizza. Come on, kid. You gotta have more enthusiasm.
They don't, they're not you.
That's what it's all about. Give me a big smile. One big
The
smile.
glare getting from my head yet?
Get adjusted for that. Everybody say cheese. There you go. Every room available at the table if you'd like to order them. Have a good night.
Good smile. Oh, test run. There you go. You looking at dinner? No. No? Is that it? Then you gotta smile to make sure you get paid. Give me a good smile. There you go. One more time. Everybody here? Everybody know?
Okay, can we smile? Too bad. Can we say cheese? It's warm.
Mozzarella.
Can we do it one more time? Cheese.
Cheese.
There we go. One more time. Here we go. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Cheese.
Come on, no.
Okay.
Is that all the better you learned to smile over 40 years? I got a mad. Give me a smile anyway. There you go. Need a couple more. One more right here, please. Smile. There you go.
I know. 25 years. 25.
Think it's sex. There you go. Thank you. A little bit. There you go. Trying to get the reflection off the glass. There you go. Look right here. And big smile. A little bigger than that. There you go. A couple more. You guys are waiting for me to say sex, aren't you? That's it. Say sex. Come on. Just smile. There you go. One more. 3, say cheese. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Thank you.
You were supposed to
And say cheese. One more time. Cheese. And for the third to last back, please. You're tired, right?
Take one step to your left, please. We get you up like your left. Just a little bit. Right. That's it. What do you want? I had a good smile. Okay. Good smile. Thank you.
I heard 65. Cheese again. I don't know how to graduate with this class.
Oh, don't get serious now. If I get you all to look here and give me one of those smiles, well, that's not a serious smile. There you go. If I get you to look right here. There you go. And a couple more. Give me a good smile. Oh, a little better. Come on, you can do better now. Think it's sex. There you go. And give me one good smile on 3, saying cheese. 1, 2, 3.
Cheese.
There you go. Thank you. Reprints are a little bigger.
I can't make it.
Look at sex. You get a smile out of that one?
No.
Is sex that bad when you get married?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. There's one.
God, thanks. Hi, Jonelle.
One more. Want to make a smile? There we go.
Oh, my mouth was
One more? Why is that my fault? Hey, give me a smile, please. On three? On three, say cheese. 1, 2, 3. Cheese. There you go. Thank you. Good smile. You want to smile more? Come on.
Hey, they're with my name today.
People tell me I smile too much.
Okay, come on. Think of some women for you. Good looking women for you. Come on, Maury. Give me a smile. There you go. Want a couple more? You want these more? Okay. Want a smile? And on three, say cheese. 1, 2, 3, cheese. There you go. And one more. Take a sec. Isn't it better now? Okay, then smile.
Let's be down there.
Cheese. Government cheese. One more time. Government cheese. Can we do it one more time? Job again.
John, can you step to the right, please? Will you switch with Peggy? The shadow coming in. Good smile. Take that. We got a graduating class. Okay, one more? You guys just don't have teeth or what? Smile. There you go. And one more for good measure. Nice smile. There you go. Thank you. And everything. Okay, if I can get you all look right here, everybody go. A little bit. There you go. One more coming. One more coming. One more right here. There we go. On three, everybody say sex.
We are all finished
2, 3.
serving the evening meal. Anybody that's not eating,
1,
go to
2,
the old gym.
3.
What do you want to say? One more time. On three. 1, 2. I look this way. 1, 2, 3. What do you want?
He's got the microphone here. You can say everybody.
Okay, on three, folks. Over here, camera. Yeah, we're taking pictures here. On three. 1, 2, 3. Six. One more time. Alright, we'll say cheese. Simple, huh? Can we say cheese? Should I count to 3 again? You can say cheese. Okay, say cheese. There, okay. Just your name. And you get a
Okay. So y'all look right here. Give me a really good smile.
cheese.
Right. Give me a smile. There you go. Hold on. You didn't shut down. One more time. There you go. Okay. One more. Give me a cheese. We got to do the cheese routine or what? There you go.
So far.
It's not that bad. Don't hurt. There you go. Thank you. That's the group I did all day. There you go. One more. He wasn't ready. Okay, ready? There you go. Thank you. Everybody wants to order here.
Glory's
One more time. Cheese. Huh? That'll work. One more picture.
Are we done yet or what?
No, we got about 4 more to go. Jackie, can we smile now?
We'll tell my wife to take a picture.
Wait, hey, wait. Look at me. Smile. Say cheese. There we go. A little further on top there. There we go. Can we smile? Say cheese? Cheese. Why don't I say cheese? One more time. Cheese. Come on. Liven up, people. Cheese. Sex. 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 Yeah. Sex. Sex. Yeah. That wasn't good. And can we say cheese? No cheese? There we go. Couple more here. Can you smile again? Pretty good. Cheese? You're blowing on the cheese fire. There we go.
Right here, please.
There we go.
Thank you. Reprints are available at the large table. If anybody's interested in buying reprints.
Folks, reprints are available over here at the table.
Attention, please. Mr. Smith, come to order. Louder and more clear. Your attention, please. Welcome now to the 1987 All-Class Union Program. I thank you all for coming. The opening program this evening with Father Dwayne Pridula in the invocation. Father Pridula.
I'm wearing this flower this afternoon because, as some people say, I married somebody today. I actually was the presider of the wedding. I wasn't the marrying person. I didn't marry anybody. And our prayer is going to be a kind of summary of our experience as graduates or participants of this high school and this grade school here at Alvarado. So I'm going to just invite you to share these thoughts in prayer with me. Lord of heaven and earth, tonight we, the sons and daughters of Alvarado Elementary and High School, gather in joyful and tearful glad celebration. Although we are over 600 persons tonight, we are a small fraction of the thousands of children and young people whose lives have been directly touched by this community, human place of learning and personal social enrichment. The school building itself is dead. It is brick and stone. However, the people who come and go from this sacred place of wisdom, art, and relationship, the children of God, have given these bricks life and meaning. Tonight we remember the teachers, instructors, and counselors, the school board members, superintendents and principals, secretaries, janitors, cooks, staff persons, and volunteers, farm families and business persons of the Alvarado School District, as well as the people of the state of Minnesota who financially supported our musical, educational, athletic, and fine art programs. They sacrificed very much so we could have a special opportunity to develop our God-given talents. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, the living, and thank you who now live in the glory of the heavenly saints of God. Tonight we remember our classmates and schoolmates who shared the educational experiences with us. Together we studied and sometimes played practical jokes. Together we made music in song groups and our excellent choirs, bands, and orchestras. Together we dialogued in class discussions, argumentations, and debates for the sake of seeking truth and wisdom. Together we participated in athletic activities such as baseball, football, volleyball, hockey, and baseball. Together we developed an appreciation for the human fine arts in drama, public reading and drawing, painting and photography. Together we cultivated an appreciation for the responsible caretaking of our life-giving earth and water and air as we today tend the croplands of this area. Together we learned the fine art of creating a home, the many delicate skills of homemaking. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for the gift of life, and thank you for giving us each other. Yes, our school experiences were sometimes challenging, perhaps troubling and confusing, but other experiences were often personally rewarding and remain memorable. And for these dear memories and friends in our hearts, we shall be ever grateful. The condition of American life has changed significantly since many of us attended this school. The racial divisions between Norwegians and Swedes, or between Czechs and Slovaks, for example, have diminished.
through the grace of God and the graceful cooperation of the self-acknowledged children of God. The programs for drug and alcohol rehabilitation and for personal and marriage counseling and personal growth are also recent blessings of the living and loving God available now to us. Many of the religious prejudices which once existed in our community and in our school are left in history. We live in a new day where Christians of various denominations and personal histories have come to respect the voice of God coming through their particular faith experience. We now see ourselves as one in the Lord God, and children of the one divine Father. Tonight we are reminded to continue striving to develop the whole person, the loving, creating, serving, praising person we are called to be. May our educational experiences be lifelong in the various schools of our life. May our education be vibrant and alive. May our souls and hearts be nourished by social skills, by science, by meditation, by prayer, by taking the time for the fine arts, and for responsible service to our families, our churches, our communities, and our neighborhood schools, wherever we live. May God bless us with His love, His mercy, and His peace. Thank you very much, Father Fibula. I received only two instructions before we started the program. Day one was to not mumble. The gentleman was to not embarrass his mother. And I replied, I probably would do both. First, we have to get some housekeeping out of the way. You should be aware that we had 653 meals served tonight. That's quite remarkable. That has to be an all-time record for the union. And this whole affair is an all-time record anyway. That's a remarkable testimony of this committee. Now, I think the Central Committee has done a very fine job with this entire celebration. So I'd like to have you all turn to the back page of your program so we can recognize these people. I'll read the names off. Recording Secretary Sandra Johnson Hutterly, Treasurer Bennett Matson, Finance George Sands, Food Management, Pictorial History Bob Sands, Updated History of the School Ray Starks, Viola Larson, Publicity Marilyn Erickson Matson, Name and Address Research Annie Mackey Johnson Nelson. Boy, that's a nice name. For your questions, Wendell Sands, Banner Doug Hutterly, Poster Stephanie Sands, and I read off Sandra Johnson and Doug Hutterly before. Video, Ronnie Larson, physical arrangement, Terry Boothby, dance, Helen Shane Kozo, George Sands again, Neil Masson and Warren Sheep, and Valley Photography and Byron Tuttle. I'd like to have all of those people, plus all the committee members who worked on this, to stand so we can recognize them and show them our appreciation. Well, that's wonderful. Let me draw a applause. It means you're going to participate in the program, and I hope you will, because it's a program for all of us, and not just for some of those poor people that's really not down here on the floor. So we'd like to have you all participate. I would also like to do one other thing, and I've noticed during this last day that the people who very often lost in the process are the spouses of the graduates who don't know very many people here. And it's been a difficult time for them, and I'd like to have us show our appreciation for their perseverance and hanging in there, and let us know that we appreciate it. Let's have a round of applause for the spouses today. We do want you to come back next time. We have some belt buckles we're going to wrap up. David, you can pass out this box here. We have 5 belt buckles we're going to make a drawing for and wrap up, I guess a drawing. And while David's, have somebody draw 5 names. And while David's doing that, we're going to present the number 21 belt buckle to the first graduate of the Alvarado High School under Princeton. And Gladden Collins is going to present that to him. There he is. Rick Hagler from Twin Rapids. Rich Nelson from Redmond, Washington. Those are two. Very good. I'll be back. We'll come on and get them. Rick Nichols. Grace Sands Martin from Fort Collins, Colorado. Oh, we're getting around here. John Swartz from Keesake, North Dakota. You get the last one? Okay, we'll hold on. It's quite an interesting. It's been quite an interesting time during this past. Will you pick this up for them? You never could catch that when you were in high school. That's the way you could go. During the last day, I have been told to order with my father, my mother, my uncle, and my nephew. I wanted to throw pitch of potatoes. So I don't know what I look like. If you notice the stances of the people in the last day or two, it's this kind of stance. Oh, yes. Nice to meet you. You're Lois. Yes, you look like a person. See, which one are you? This is me. You walk away, I saw her voice, and she, old, young, skinny. And her husband is so nice, quiet, hollow, short, tall, whatever it is. And what struck me, too, during this last day, at least today, was I hadn't seen so much Norwegian huggies and some Scandinavians invaded France. The other thing was quite interesting. It's a kind of a nice, interesting sociological study, I think. There's a lot of old boyfriends and girlfriends here. And you come back and you see that guy or that gal you used to go with, or 2 or 3 or 4. And you watch this happen. It's an interesting phenomenon. You have to check on and see whether they look the same or they're different than they were before. Kind of check each other out. And I think each of you probably have some of that kind of experience. There's a little pinch of nervousness I see in all of them as it's happening. This group is also very rich in names. Having been hung with the name of Delvin. See, I really appreciate fun names, good names. I go down this list and I see a name like George Sands. I have nothing against Don and Milton and Wendell and Bob. Or George. George Sands. General George, there you go. So I feel sorry for people like this, like you have brothers named Kenny, Bobby, Donnie, and sisters named Betty and Lois, and they call you a porpoise. Very help that over here. You know, in this case, the gentleman's been in and out of a number of institutions as a result. I've also uncovered some previously uncovered radio ads for Alvarado area businesses that for some strange reason never got on the air. And we've been scurrying through the trash over the last week. We've come up with some pretty interesting things that I think you'll enjoy as the program is going on. Now, first item we're going to have on the program is the men's chorus. Bennett Masson is going to be singing a song called Let There Be Music. And while they're coming up here getting ready, we're going to run our first ad. The men's chorus. please come to the front.
That's a name to remember. Your local grocer for everything from soup bone to T-bone. From large to little. Every day, August and his above-average staff bring you fresh bread all the way from Vivian Olson's kitchen and fresh produce from Joe Pitchon's garden. August P. That rhymes with G, and that stands for good groceries. As our good friend Joe McCulloch used to say, don't go home hungry, boys. Buy a dozen cackleberries.
They followed up with another little radio hit and then men's party time. Appropriate introduction to the song.
And now, CBS Radio brings you Ma Curtain. Well, what could be more appropriate today than to turn the clock back to join Ma and the folks at Thanksgiving dinner? Ma and the family have so much to give thanks for. Let's join them all. They haven't yet sat down. In the kitchen we find Faye and Eddie and Mom. Listen.
Shuffling really are so hungry. Come on, honey. Let's get the cranberries and the pickles.
Next, the radio ad is one from an old-time Alvarado business establishment that's not been around for a few years, but many of you will recognize it anyway. Let's play the next ad to it.
Ladies hot news for you. Hilma Berkman's Dry Goods just got a new shipment of scratch and sniff blouses. Each section of the blouse gives off a different scent, and here's where this comes in handy. If there's a special fella you really want to attract, merely stand next to him and scratch the section called Come Hither to Me. Test and show it works every time. Ask Annie Nelson. She used one of these blouses on Yelmer. Ardent suitor is move over, big fella, before I hit you with this Budapest. Just scratch that little patch under your arm and hold it for 10 seconds. He'll get the message. These blouses will help you catch the fish you want and keep the carp away.
Next, we'll have Don Manson over a memorial service for those who couldn't be here with us tonight. Don? I'm going to take just a few moments to remember those friends and classmates who are deceased and cannot be with us. I'd like to share with you just a very brief verse to reflect on the friendships in the past, associations with those friends and classmates that I ask each of you to think of in your own way as we look at this verse. The days of our youth we shared in this place, so eager and anxious to learn and to play. We shared dreams and joys which time can't erase, and looked longingly forward to graduation day. Oh, the vision of our youth may have changed with the years, as life's path has unfolded with its curves and its bends. For on that road we have all seen both laughter and tears, as a mission and purpose for each life God sends. To some he gave years in abundance to reap the beauty and bounty of those childhood dreams. From others he asked a mission more deep, to be accomplished in less time than others it seems. But whatever our calling and purpose in life, and whatever our fortune or service has been, we longingly remember those days of our youth and look forward to the morrow when we meet again. At this time, we're going to light a memorial candle, which will represent those friends and classmates who have been deceased. Thank you, Don. It struck me as I went through the pictures earlier today to identify all the people that have passed on, just from roughly about the time I was in school and after. And each one is just a bit of sadness to me. Now, we're going to have another radio out, another little radio bit. We're going to came, we hope you might like this, another well-known business and the character from the Alvarado scene.
Are your feet getting sore there, Orvis? Shoes too tight or worn out, Tina? And now the price of new shoes just went beyond your pocketbook. Well, here is salvation at last. Knut's Shoe Shop on Main Street in Alvarado, where Knut himself will make things comfy for your toes. Remember, Knut's motto is, when toes are peeking through the holes, to save your souls, Knut is here.
Like that one, too? I think we did.
The Lone Ranger.
With the speed of light
the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains, led the fight for law and order in the early western United States. Nowhere in the pages of history can one find a greater champion of justice. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of the great horse Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again. One, two, let's go, big fella. And Silver,
That's, I think, a very appropriate introduction from Mr. E.W. Solis, who was our superintendent, 1943 to 1950. Great. So come up, please, sir, and we'll see if you can recognize some teachers.
What a bunch. In a school that doesn't graduate 20 to 25 students a year, and you have 700 people at the one-time banquet. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Hart, faculty members, students, and friends. Needless to say, we're very happy to be here at your all-school alumni gathering. May I thank you for remembering us. I want to congratulate the committee for the tremendous job that has been done. You don't get 700 people at a gathering like this unless someone has done some work. I and family have many fond memories of Alvarado. All the activities in which we participated, the groups that performed at school. Our son was born while we were here. The many fine people and many fine students. A number of you have said, have asked about this. Some of you have asked, what's the situation with your daughter? And for those of you who know us, know her, and she is married. She's married. Her husband is a Lutheran pastor at Spicer, Minnesota. We also have a son, Mark, who was born while we were here, who is a pastor, a Lutheran pastor at St. Cloud, Minnesota. As far as my family is concerned, if you know Gladys, she's very active. She still has her 20 piano students. She still is active, spending half her time or more in the church. When I came into retirement after 40 some years, I said I don't want any responsibility. And so in the community, don't ask me to do anything where I've got to think. We have hobbies. I work a good deal with photography. I quit choir directing after about 35 years. Some years ago, we sold our airplane. I'm working with hobbies as far as the wood is concerned, and we're very, very busy as far as we're concerned. I think your meeting today is more than just a gathering of some fun-loving alumni and former teachers. I think it serves to put an emphasis on the education of each of you. You are the educational product of what the people of this community over the years were willing to put forward in energy and their pocketbooks. To prove this, I would like to point out that when I came here in 1943, this was a very, very small district. Taxes were as high as almost any school in the state of Minnesota. This proved that the people were solid behind the school. They wanted a good educational program and were willing to pay through their taxes, but for it. They also said, well, what can we do? And I've heard that question many times, what can we do to change the situation? And at that time, there was only one answer, and that was for the people to cooperate, to get together in what you would call consolidation. The people dared to go ahead on this movement and be one of the first schools in the state of Minnesota to consolidate in recent years. I suppose that there were people who didn't back the school. After I had resigned that summer, I talked to a number of the people, and one of the board members who had recently been elected made a statement that I thought was worth repeating. He said, I'm on the school board for only one purpose, and that is to keep the taxes down. I'm hoping that the people realize and dealt accordingly. I hope and I know that the superintendent of the board is securing the best teachers within their power. Difficult to get the teachers to fit their community. I do not advocate what the manager, personnel manager, has said in interviewing candidate. He said this: what we are after is a man of vision, a man with drive, determination, fight, a man who never quits, a man who can inspire others, a man who can pull the company's bowling team out of last place. I think we have schools in this day and age that do work under that feeling. Sports plays an important part, but I know schools that are putting more emphasis on sports than they do in the educational program. Towns and schools are known for some things. The younger people don't remember when some years ago we had speakers. I'm not too sure, but what Alvarado started. The first year that I was here during the war, my husband was our football coach. As you recall, we had no dressing room, showers. The science hall was at the west end of the building. There was a closet there that had some baskets. The boys would put their clothes in the baskets. John Aiken had taken out a stool, the boys' washroom, put up a little wall, and then it hung a shower there. In the first week, as I sat in the office after the football practice, the boys were going into the washroom. I heard some noise. The door opened a little bit. I could see some heads sticking out. I waited, looked, and lo and behold, here came about a dozen boys, one right after the other. They were the first speakers that we had. They were on their way down to the science show. And you know who the leader was? Bill Sands. I think the town deserves a lot of credit, and the people. When we drive into town, in this town, we're impressed. As I look back to the school in town as we came here in 1943, there were no paved streets. The streets were traveled. Some of them were not taken care of as well, some were farm roads. I can recall cars on the south side of the school getting stuck in the spring. I can't remember a fire department. Oh yes, there was a fire truck, a Model T, and I was told at that time that it wouldn't run, but it was down the firewall. The jail, I remember that there was a cage, a steel cage with a door on it. There was no running water. I carried a pail of water from uptown to the pump, bring it home like our drinking water. Typical, even biblical times. The lawns were ill kept. Oh yes, in front of the house, we were old, but not like we are today. When I came that summer, 1943, the only place around the school block was right in front of the building in which John Engen had mowed the lawn. Just the width of the building, out to the side, out to the street. I said to him later on that year, I said, John, don't you suppose we can do something about that? Can't we get some more mold? And he said, I'll tell you. We'll see if we can. During the winter, I watched him down in his room. He had a turning blade. He took a piece of 2x10, cut it off, so he made a circle about 8 inches, made 4 of those. I saw him get a hold of the old Briggs and Stratton washing machine motor, a 5th horse, and he made some other inventions of his own. And he made a lawnmower with a whirl type. The first one I had ever seen. And I have said to, at least to his daughter, that if he had been smart at that time, maybe he could have got a patent on it, because every home in the United States now has a whirl type of lawnmower, and I think he made the first one. I mentioned other things about John. I think that the clock out here is a memorial to him. During the war years, he would make gears for the farmers to help in the war. He made his own tools. He was never appreciated, I don't believe, for the type of person, the talents which he had. There were 3 churches in town. 2 of them were rather struggling. One had an ethnic background with Norse, one was Swedish. One of the teachers, first grade teachers, said to her class, the first day they're trying to get acquainted with orientation and so on. And so she said, now children, you tell me where you were born. And they should go down the road. Where were you born? Where were you born? Finally, she came to a boy, and he hesitated. Finally, he said, Norway. And then she said, well, why did you hesitate so much? Boy, he said, I didn't want to sound like I was bragging. The thing that probably disturbed me when we came into town as much as anything else was this walk from the house. And to where? There was no sewer system. One of the first, in the spring of the year, 1944, I think it was, Walt Johnson, I believe it was, the bus driver came to the office one morning about 9:30, 10:30, somewhere in there. Very excited, he said, say, there's a flood coming. Wow, he was kidding quite a bit anyway. I said, no, he said, let's go out in the car and look. We drove east towards Warren. And sure enough, about 3-4 miles out here the water coming over the countryside, about a foot deep, just rolling in. You could see it as far south and as far north as you could see. We came in, we got the buses going as fast as we could, got the students out. And here the water came, and our house, as many other houses I suppose, the basements were full of water. And how in the world do you drain out a cellar without a drain? I called, went out to the hardware store here, they had no sump pump. I called Warren, they had no sump pump. I called Steeper Falls, they had no sump pump. I called Crookston, yes, they had some. I told John, I said, I'm going to go on for a couple hours. I'm going to Crookston to get a sump pump. Oh, he said, don't do that, he said. He said, he'll give me a motor. He said, I'll make one. And have it made before you can get back. And sure enough, he took the brake, whatever you call it, brake drum, I guess it is, whatever else it took. And inside of an hour or two, he had made a pump, and I went over to my house and I pumped out the water with the pump she had made. During the war years, and you people can remember, many of you, we had, so I said, we had no gym. The cracker box of town, former bank building, tried to get John to go down and clean it up, you wouldn't touch it. One of the other fellows, I guess, did some sweeping down there. We would try to start in the wintertime, and it would smoke, you could hardly see yourself, and here we had basketball games. There was a stage in the one end, and when the time came to have a program, sometimes, many times, we had to put the piano from this floor up on the stage. There weren't enough men around, and so more than once, I lifted the piano onto the stage, and more than once, I lifted it down. I think in every respect, the people in this community can be proud, very proud of their town. I try to keep track of the school. I get the warrant sheet, and I observe, as far as I can, the activities that have taken place. You have here, I saw Neil this afternoon, and I saw Marilyn, the editor, Albert, over at Wilmer. And of course, there's been quite a bit of criticism of your papers recently, and I suppose there probably is a warrant sheet too. It's a wonderful paper. But it brought to mind a situation. You see, your editors don't make too much money, really. And one of the editors had spent quite a time in the hospital and he died. When the time came for the funeral, he had spent all the money for the hospital, for the doctor bills. He didn't have any money for the funeral. And so one of his friends proceeded to collect some money so they could, take care of the funeral. And he went to one of the business people and he said, can I get the $10 from you so we can bury the editor? And the businessman said, here's $50, bury 5 of them. But I think of the war years, there are many, many pictures that come to mind. And you students, kids, who were at school at that time, I feel that you got cheated. And there's no question about my mind that you got cheated. No equipment. It was very difficult to get teachers. It was just a big problem to keep your schools going. Thank goodness, I feel that Alvarado was able to get many of the top teachers at the time. And any superintendent would have been very proud to have had them on the staff. And I noticed that we had some of the teachers from that time here. We were the teachers too. But as I looked over the group this afternoon while we've been here, I noticed that you have students like Rick, Pickett, Norma Sands, Ione Sands, Vera Johnson. Maybe there were some other teachers at that time too. But at the same time, we had another teacher, some of the students will remember him. It was difficult to get anyone, let alone music people. And the first year, we just couldn't get anyone. You couldn't buy them to come up to northern Minnesota to direct music. And I heard of a man out in the southern part of the state about 2 or 3 days before school was going to start. I called him, and he was available. We needed someone who could teach English, I believe it was, and to direct the band. I called a special meeting of the board, and I said, board members, we're stuck. I don't have a teacher for that position, and I don't know where to go to get one. But I said, I know the man who's available. I hadn't seen him. I had some recommendations from him. What shall I do? George Sands was on board. He said, hurry, sight on scene. I called him, and I said, can you make it here by Friday? Yep, he can make it. And I said, we're going to have a family meeting at 1 o'clock, and I want you there. I'll be there. 1 o'clock came. I looked out front. The man wasn't here. He waited. Faculty was waiting. And he did not show up. Finally, the faculty got together. We talked about some necessary things. And about 5:30, I looked out, and here was a big, old car with a little fan you can hardly see over the steering wheel, and a great big St. Bernard dog in the back, looking out over the master's shoulder. I went out there. I said, Mr. Lieutenant, you are Mr. Ellis? Yes, he said, I'm Mr. Ellis. And the first thing he said was, where is the house that I'm supposed to live in? Well, I said, I don't know. You don't provide a house. That's up to you. Like I got a place to live. I don't know if the students remember. We had it here less than, no, we had it here 1 year. And then he said, bye-bye. But he was one of those problems that you had in securing teachers at the time. It was difficult to keep your music going. Very difficult. And Alvarado had some really good groups over the years. And having been teaching in the county for some 22 years, I followed that. And I was interested in music. And I admired the music department that you had. And I did not want to see that go down. And there were many schools that had to drop their bands because they couldn't get instructors. And so here then, I took over the vocal pretty much. And then I asked for some help to take care of the instrumental. And this is the way we did it. And we kept it going that year. I asked Ione Sands, our English teacher, if she would teach the woodwinds, the clarinets, the saxons. And so Ione took care of that. Gerald Smith played the trumpet. I said, Gerald, will you teach some kids to play the trumpet? He did that. And Lyle, I said, you play the baritone. Will you teach some students to play the baritone? She did that. And that's how we kept the band going for that year. It's been a joy to be here, to see the former students. You just can't imagine how much fun it is. Oh, I realize that it's difficult for me to remember all. It's handy that you got your badges, I recognize your names. Some of you might have changed a little bit. But it has been a good deal of fun. And I'm hoping that you then go from this week with a good deal of satisfaction and joy of having met the students, which I know that you have. You know, a certain man was invited to an alumni meeting. His wife was going to go, and before they were to leave, she got sick. So the man couldn't go. I said, the lady couldn't go. And she said, well, honey, you go. You go, you enjoy yourself. He went to the alumni meeting. He came home. She was in bed. She called him, honey, how did it go? And he said, terrible, terrible. You know, they had changed so much. He said the ladies had gotten so fat. They had gray hair. The men were bald. In fact, they looked so terrible. They changed so much that they didn't even recognize me.
Thank you. Now, let's see where we. Okay, we have sweet ad lines who are coming up now, and we have one radio ad that's going to run while the sweet ad lines are coming up here. The sweet ad lines are on here.
Hey Maynard, had a good cone lately or maybe even a hot fudge sundae? People from miles around all come to Mike's Cafe for the best homemade ice cream. Mike's special this week is Tutti Frutti ice cream topped with a buttermilk glaze. This taste treat was invented right here by Casey Erickson, who is a well-known ice cream aficionado. He developed his formula after a big plate of pancakes at Hillerud's Cafe on his way out to Axel Bowman's with his gas truck. Exclusively here at Mike's Cafe. Hurry in for a taste treat you'll never forget.
We'd like to sing for you a Neil Sedaka song, and it's called If I Could Write a Song.
Thank you very much. Have you been concerned about what's going on in Washington? Do you trust the government anymore? It seems that people are misplacing their trust in the people, the voters' confidence. But we don't have a lock on that in Washington. We have our own corruption in government right here in Alvarado. Right here in River City, folks. We have corruption in government. I'm talking about bookies, theater, booze. I'm talking about corruption of little children. And we uncovered a radio ad here that our undercover operatives have discovered for us. And I want you to listen to this radio tape that should not have been on the air and will not get on the air because we discovered it.
Now, here's a public service message for the kids from your local postmaster, Gaylor Collins. Kids, this message is just for you. Take your radio to your room. Be sure your parents don't hear what I'm going to say. It's going to be a surprise for them. Now, if it's all clear, here's what we do. Go into Mommy's purse and Daddy's billfold, and you'll find pictures of Abraham Lincoln on small pieces of green paper. There will be a number 5 in each corner. The FBI wants me to make a secret inspection of all these pictures, so be a real good citizen. Put these pictures in an envelope and address it to Secret Agent Corky, care of Post. You get a special merit badge for each letter received, so do it every week. Remember, don't tell your folks. This will be a big surprise for them.
Okay, now we're going to have a parade of the decades compiled and narrated by Silas Linda Thornhinger and Phyllis Johnson Swanson, accompanied by Dorothy Edmund Mans. Please give me your attention, please. And can we get the lights turned off on the back?
Before we start our parade of the decades, would you all like to stand for a 7th-inning stretch?
Frank Dahlgren, Alfred Nystrom, C.O. Olson, M.H. Sands, Walter Sands, and John Strong composed the first 6-member school board. The high school was established in 1917 with W.T. Phillips as superintendent and Miss Sedate Brown as principal. And it was said that she was very sedate. World War I was raging in Europe, and young American men were called upon to make the world safe for democracy, to fight the war, to end all wars. Representing that period are and Clint Sands, class of 1988, and Clint Sands is modeling John Sands' uniform for World War I. Following the war, the returning soldiers brought Spanish influenza to America. The 1918 flu epidemic was devastating. After the war, enrollment at the Alvarado school steadily increased. In fact, it more than doubled in the next 4 years. In 1917-18 school year, we saw 5 boys and 11 girls, and by 1920-21 school year, it had risen to 14 boys and 25 girls. The mood of the nation became carefree. America seemed safe and secure. The musical hit of the day was A Bicycle Built for You, and the debonair couple was 77 and Don Sands, class of 53. Roaring 20 saw the first graduation from the Alvarado High School. Day number 5, Walter Baxter. Five graduates in 1921 were Walter Baxter, Irene Helene, Elmer Garrison, Sam Gordon, and Theodore Severson. Carl Miller became superintendent of schools in 1925, and he remained for 5 years. Under his able leadership, the high school curriculum was enlarged to include foreign languages. Valuation of the school property in 1921 was $80,000. The first school paper was dubbed The Rapper, published February 15, 1921. The editor-in-chief of The Rapper was Ralph Nybod, and he was ably assisted by Helen Thornton, Elmer Bjorkman, Oliver Sands, and Raymond Johnson. There were slogans, New Year's resolutions, appearing in that issue of The Rapper that we couldn't resist sharing with you. Ingvald Ladone resolved that I must catch a girl. Alice Markinson simpered, resolved that I will never turn around again. And Delia Dahlgren said, resolved that I'll learn to play the violin. In the 1928 yearbook, The Alvaradoan, we found delightful nicknames listed for the following people. Early Ladone was known as Sirva. Those of you with a Norwegian or Swedish background will know that Sirva means to speak. Colonel Johnson was known as BJ, which and that Charleston was the brain. And here we have them. Dr. E. Hampton became the superintendent of schools in 1929, and the state bank building was acquired for a gym, as the bank there had closed its doors earlier in the 20s.
In the 30s, that state went. The Alvarado student was published. Mrs. Henry Backstrom was the first woman to have served on the school board. A band was organized under the direction of O.K. Moorcup. The first band concert was Sunday night, May 1st, 1932. Lowell Nelson became superintendent of schools in 1936, and the Alvarado purchased its first school bus. The downtown gym was remodeled in 1936, and it was dedicated along with the celebration of Alvarado's new lighting system. Do you remember the skating rink with the board fence down by the river? It burned in the 30s. The story was that some boys were smoking. Walter Sperry recalls that there would be as many as 100 skaters on the rink at a given time. What fun! In 1937, President Franklin Roosevelt came to Grand Forks, and the Alvarado Band was honored to play for him at the corner of the Dakota and Frederick Hotels. Bathtub Jim was the big first quencher in those days of Prohibition, and many will recall the shootout between the Canadian rum runners and the cheap men between Alvarado and East Grand Forks. Those were the Dust Bowl years, and many days lights were required to be switched on so that the students could see to do their work. Gone with the Wind was the picture of the decade. The Purple Parrot was the school paper published in 1937 with Sylvester Manchin, Ted Molesky, and Howard Ross in charge. Popular speech included such phrases as "leave and lizard" and exclamations such as "oi." There were food lines and people were on welfare, and wheat sold for 50 cents a bushel. Though this decade represents a journey to lean years, a favorite of the song was "I'm in the Mood for Love." Singing this popular song are Bob Sands, class of 48, and Wendell Sands, class of 1956.
Resemblance to a love song is purely accidental, coincidental. It's old. We're supposed to sing to each other. That's why we went about some girls. Like, love song to this night?
Casablanca was the best motion picture, and As Time Goes By was the #1 song. There were many radio pinups, and the radio brought the good news and the bad news, and World War II galvanized the country. The names of Guadalcanal, Manolita, and Iwo Jima, Anfield, Luzon, and Normandy entered our vocabulary. There were service flags in our windows, and some of the blue stars turned to gold. Sharon Yanish, class of 71, Alan Clement, class of 81, and Sharon Olson Bergman, class of 57, represent those who served us so well. There were ration stamps with sugar, shoes, tires, meat, soap, and gasoline. We saved aluminum foil, toothpaste tubes, tin cans, waste paper, and grease for explosives. We turned in old tires for new and bought victory bonds and stamps. We closed the school for days at a time so that students could bring in that all-important crop of potatoes. The end of the war saw our Alvarado men returning. The hangouts were Alma Paulson's Cafe with her good ice cream and also Mike's Cafe. There is a rumor that there were certain girls who made ice cream cones at Paulson's Cafe and then went to Mike's Cafe to eat them. Shame. Girls were able to wear slacks to classes for the first time in 1947. Roxanne had a Model A car fondly dubbed the Moodle. There were many marvelous evenings singing around campfires and roasting marshmallows at the beans near the bridge west of town. Caps and gowns were again used in the 1944 graduation ceremony, and in 1947 the high school yearbook, the Alvarado, was again published. And when someone did or said something even remotely ridiculous, we said, "Oh, you stone!" That is a word of Scandinavian origin meaning "you fool." It seems that Jackie Olsen influenced us to use the term, and it was used by the student body long years after Jack graduated.
E.W. Solis resigned as superintendent in 1950, and the following men served as superintendents during this decade: Louis Schrader, John Bartol, E.C. Rosted, H.B. Bob, and Harold Haas. Our parade of the decades would not be complete without mentioning the faithful services of John Engen, who served as custodian from 1917 to 1951. Beautiful grandfather clock he built still stands at the school entry, graciously marking time. The school district at this time had an assessed valuation of $467,840. A very welcome addition to the original building was constructed in 1953 and 54. No longer did Alvarado students walk uptown to the old bank building for physical education classes. Ichabod Ellis and his Snake River Ramblers was the title of our pep band that played for our basketball game. Remember that tiny gym? If the basketball hit the side wall, it was out of bounds. The first prom was held in 1953 in the multi-purpose gym. The Northern Lights played for the prom. Alvarado High School had never been allowed to have a prom. At the school parties, the students played Skip to My Lou and the Needle Time. An athletic highlight of this decade was Alvarado High School's going to the state baseball tournament in 1951. The 50s moved to a new beat. Rock and roll was here to stay. and people built and stocked bomb shelters. We had a feisty president, give him hell, Harry Truman. There were coon skirts, saddle shoes, coonskin caps, ducktails, and skin-tight jeans. Donna Miller Payton, class of 50, and her husband Robert Jr. are our next.
Now let's move into the 60s. It all started quietly enough. There was Camelot and the Kennedys, the New Frontier, and the Peace Corps. The British music invasion began with 4 shaggy-haired young men from Liverpool. But another invasion was taking place in Vietnam. With it came the inevitable protests, sit-ins, demonstrations, and drugs. Neil Armstrong told his tired old earth, "The Eagle has landed," and July 20th, 1969 became a date burned into our minds. Assassinations and peace marches divided the nation into doves and puffs. Superintendents came and left with regularity throughout this decade. Darrell Haas resigned in 1960. Celebration at Woodstock symbolized a nation of young people at odds with the establishment. Our flower children are James Bergman, class of 1981, and Violet Meyer Anderson, class of 1987. The protests of the 60s led to the women's liberation movement. In addition, the siege at Wounded Knee near Pine Ridge, South Dakota, brought an Indian awareness. The Godfather Parts 1 and 2 were the big movies. A new $1 million gym was dedicated on October 1st, 1978, with Howard Casey, State Commissioner of Education, giving the dedication address. Bennett Nansen was president of the school board. Ellen Peterson, loved and respected teacher and principal, came aboard in 1929. She taught for 6 years and then was united in marriage to Henning Smith in 1934. She retired at that time because married teachers were not allowed to teach. She came back to the classroom during the war years in 1942 as men were scarce and married women were accepted. She retired in May of 1971. A reception was held in her honor with former Superintendent Barlow coming from Colorado and E.W. Solis from Kirkland, Minnesota. The W.E. Hansons were unable to attend as they were vacationing in Sweden. She is a grand lady, and Alvarado is a better school for having never on staff. Oh, Mrs. Smith.
girls were permitted to wear jeans to class for the first time during this decade. It was the decade when sports became very important to the school. Successes piled on even greater successes. 1970, boys won the district basketball tournament for the first time in history. They beat Crookston, Beaver River Falls, and Warren. They came out third in the region. Dan Dahlstrom was one of the top 25 basketball players in the state of Minnesota. Alvarado came out as the top team in the sub-district. They averaged 75 points per game, 16 wins and 1 loss. 1975, girls track team began. 1977, boys basketball team won third in the district. 1978, girls basketball began. Girls volleyball came out second in the district. 1979, the girls volleyball team had an 11-1 record. They won the Polar Conference title and came out third in the district. Since the 1970s produced such spectacular athletic teams, it seems only fitting that we have a representative group from the Alvarado Indians teams with us this evening. Let's hear it.
Was involved in athletics in 1982. 15 out We are convinced that our models did a superb job of portraying the 7 decades of Alvarado school history. We'll now ask them to make one more jaunt around the gymnasium floor so that you may again enjoy their representation.
What do you do Wednesday nights? Go bowling? Watch the Move To? Drink beer at the Lightning Bar? Ditch? Why not do something educational like Elmer Nelson? Read the Sheep and get caught up on all the news that's fit to print, and even some that's not. For you out-of-towners, Friday night is usually Sheep night. You can't be the life of the party Saturday night if you go out unemployed. Here's a note we received from one of our loyal out-of-town customers we thought best says it. Quote, each week you keep in touch with my roots, my relics and such. So here's my subscription. It's like a prescription to celebrate life. Thanks so much. For 50 years I've known joys and some grief as life's pages were turned leaf by leaf. Now my experience peaks, a big the end each week while simultaneously reading the sheet. And now for our theme song.